I spent many eons struggling with negative thoughts and rumination, and this is what led me to spiritual awakening. It was this spiritual awakening that in turn destroyed my negative thoughts and overthinking. Who would have thought? You probably. Get it because you're overthinking? Never mind, my apologies. So today I will share with you my 3-step process so you too can be free from your thoughts. Now the whole process can be summed up in 5 words. Realize, realize, realize. You see, the human being is made up of 3 main parts: the body, the mind, and awareness as consciousness. Everybody since the beginning of time have either identified with the mind, the body, or both. Because everyone you've ever met also believes themselves to be a person, you have probably been conditioned into believing the same thing. But it is precisely the identification with our body or mind that is the cause of all overthinking. Think of it this way. Whoa, not too much. Our minds are always concerned with the past, with the future, with judging others, judging our life circumstances, comparing ourselves to other people. Sound familiar? But awareness as consciousness does not concern itself with any of these things. Awareness is already free from the grip of material existence. It is transcendent. This awareness is the God essence that you are. You might just not realize it yet. So when we identify with the mind, guess what? We experience all of the nonsense that the mind brings to the table. The mind is always changing and is all over the place. And so when we identify with the mind, we become one with the mind, and therefore we feel like we're always changing and getting pulled all over the place. And that is why we experience a lack of peace. But when we shift our identity away from the mind and toward awareness, freedom, peace, love, joy, these things are the natural radiance of consciousness, that which you already are. These things are your default state. But what happens is that the mind comes into the picture and blinds us from our true self. It blocks out the light of God, and it separates us from these true inner riches. So let me ask you this. Do you want to experience more judging and desires and avoidance? How about some more rumination on the past, or perhaps some anxiety about the future? Would you like that? Because your mind is ready to serve up all of these things on a silver platter, just for you. Or would you rather experience more freedom, more peace, more love, and more joy? Now, awareness is not offering you any of this. It is already yours. You cannot be offered what is yours already. You cannot become awareness. You are awareness. But because the mind has hijacked our identity, we believe ourselves to be a mind, to be a person living in the world, doing our little human things. All that is required is your simple recognition that you are not the body and you are not the mind, but that you are something much deeper, much more grand and eternal, that you are this infinite and eternal consciousness that manifests as your awareness. This is the core essence of spiritual awakening. Now that we have begun looking with our real eyes, now we must realize the real lies. You see, the mind will do whatever it takes to keep you as its slave, to remain in power and control. I like to call this the monster mind. The monster mind is like a parasite that is always feeding on our life force. The entire planet is currently infested with this great parasite, and it is leading us to our doom. However, by removing this parasite in yourself, you contribute to creating a more loving and harmonious world. But the task is not so easy. The monster mind tricks you into feeding it your energy through your belief. Think about all of the negative thoughts and the things that you overthink about. Don't worry, I'm here for you. I won't let them hurt you. The reason your thoughts are a problem is because you believe in them. Through your belief, you give them power. Think about a child who believes in the boogeyman. For them, the boogeyman is real, it's true. He's right there in the closet or under the bed. But an adult says, well, there is no boogeyman, so there's no fear, there's no worry, there's no concern. Only because the child believes that it is true does it have any effect over them. When you believe in your thoughts, they steal your power, and they grow stronger while you get weaker, which is why you probably feel like a slave to your mind sometimes. I think the spiritual teacher Muji once said it best. He said, "A thought has no power. You have all the power, but you give your power away to your thoughts through your identification and belief in them. And because you identify with your mind, you believe in your thoughts. You give your thoughts power through your belief. And so the first step to taking your power back is to is to realize that everything that the monster mind tells you is a lie. The monster mind is like a sleazy salesman. It knows all of your vulnerabilities, all of your pain points, all the right buttons to push, so that it can get you to buy the story that it is selling you. It will use your family, your health, your morality, your religion, your fears, anything it can to get you to believe what it's telling you. And because there is strong personal identity, you have a personal investment in all of these different things that it uses against you. For all intents and purposes, you are open for business, and therefore allow the fear in through believing in the possibility that what the mind is telling you, that your thoughts could be true. But they are always false. Once you realize that everything that the monster mind tells you is nothing but a trick to get you to feed it your energy of your own free will, now you close shop. The salesman can try all day to try to get you to entertain your negative thoughts, but you will have realized that it is all a scam. None of it is true, and I mean nothing. If you entertain these negative thoughts, if you entertain the story in your head at all, the monster mind works its way back in and takes control over your life. What the mind will do is present you evidence and say, oh look, what you believe is true. Look at all these facts. Your thoughts are accurate. Listen to what I have to say. I think of Voldemort in that meme where he says, from this day forth, you shall put your faith in me. But this is just another trick, because the mind gets you to hyper-focus on only the things that get you to reaffirm what you already might believe. It handpicks evidence and ignores everything else. And because perhaps there is always a seed of truth in the things that we believe, that is what gets us to buy into them. But if anything, it is a seed covered with poop. Recognizing the lies might be perhaps the most difficult part of this whole process, because the mind is so convincing. Sometimes you think, there's just no possible way that I could be wrong. My beliefs, my ideas, the way I'm thinking, it has to be right. It just has to. There's just no way I could see it any other way. And that is because your mind puts glasses over you that filters the entire world. So what you are seeing is true, but it is only true for you, because you believe it into your existence. We project our own inner reality out onto the world, and we call it as fact. But the fact is that our minds can never be separated from the things that we are experiencing. So whatever nonsense that we have in our minds, that is what reality is filtered through. So we never see the world as it is. We only see the world as we are. When it comes to your thoughts, the moment you allow the possibility of belief to enter, you let the whole beast take over. It's like almost if you were in outer space in a spaceship and there was a tiny hole the size of a pin in one of the windows. It doesn't matter how small the hole is. You're in trouble. There has to be 100% conviction that what the monster mind tells you is always a lie. Otherwise, you will continue to entertain your ruminations, your negative thoughts, these stories in your mind. You will ruminate on imaginary evils while believing them to be facts. Now, the practice to overcome our overthinking or negative thoughts is quite simple and takes no effort at all. The issue is that you have probably spent an entire lifetime identifying with your mind. So the first step is recognizing our true place as awareness or consciousness. Even if you don't suddenly come to this grand spiritual awakening, you can simply focus your attention on becoming more aware. You practice remaining in the state of silent observation as awareness. Ask yourself this: does it take any effort to be aware? Are you not aware right now at this moment by default? Awareness is our natural and most fundamental state. The mind simply has this kind of gravitational pull that always brings us back into its drama. So when you go through your daily life and you get triggered or you start overthinking, just return to the awareness that, oh, I have fallen back into this pattern of behavior again. What this does is that it creates a kind of pattern interrupt that prevents you from snowballing into this catastrophe of a mess. The mind can only pull you into its storm if you are unconscious that it is happening. And unconsciousness might even mean, oh my God, I'm overthinking. I don't want these negative thoughts. This is causing me so many problems and suffering and trouble. That is not being aware. That is being caught in the madness of your own mind. Every time you catch yourself in this mind storm, repeating this pattern of behavior of overthinking or ruminating, you take the momentum out of its power. You catch yourself and then you return to awareness and you say, oh, look it, I did it again. Nice try, monster mind. You almost got me. The number one mistake that everybody makes when it comes to negative thoughts or overthinking is that they try to go to war with their minds. They try to fight their thoughts. Trust me, you will not win. The mind has an infinite number of resources and tactics to destroy you. In fact, it steals your energy precisely by getting you to engage with it, by entertaining the thoughts, by believing them, by going to war with them, by struggling, by resisting. Just return to awareness again and again. This is how you take your power back. Don't blame yourself or beat yourself up for overthinking or ruminating again. It's okay. It's not that big of a deal. Every time you recognize the pattern in yourself, you develop the power to catch yourself sooner and sooner. You might ruminate for an hour before catching yourself the first time. Then maybe you ruminate for 30 minutes, and then 15 minutes, and then 10. And then eventually you get to the point where you catch yourself as you begin the ruminating process. The more awareness you have, the more you see reality as a step-by-step process. But when we are unconscious, it's like we get triggered and then an hour goes by and we're just lost in this madness. We're not realizing the step-by-step process that gets us pulled in to this madness of the mind. And so the more aware you become, the more easy it becomes to stop yourself at every point along the way. Step by step, day by day, you take your power back from the mind, and you grow stronger and your thoughts grow weaker. You see, awareness is already free from all thoughts. Only when you get pulled back into identity with the mind do your thoughts have any power over you. Just keep returning back to awareness, and your overthinking will naturally lessen over time.